For today, we will go on to talking about why certain things don't work as well the second time around. Maybe we've done a training program, a diet, most probably, but first time you saw great results, but then the second time, not so much. Now let's be clear. The first time you start something and you finish it, you've probably hit rock bottom. Okay? You know you don't want to be there, so the amount of intent, the amount of motivation that you have to want to climb out of there is amazing. The second thing is, at that place, you're willing to put in the work. You're willing to just attack it with every bit of brute force you have. And that's a powerful, powerful, powerful tool. Which is why earlier I would have been very puritanical about saying try to do the right thing, but now you know what? Shiny objects, whatever it is you're doing, they work. Do whatever catches your fancy, and along the way you'll stumble onto something better. Don't try to find the perfect answer now. But I digress. Why do things not work well the second time around? Does your body adapt? Is it really the problem? See, the body adapting is something that happens. But let me explain. Let's talk about running as an example, right? When you start running, say the amount of calories you expend or the amount of time it takes you to run 5 kilometers or whatever is a lot. And then you might start losing a lot of weight as you start running. Well, this is how it happened for me, so it's easy to use running as an example. And then after a certain point, it stops, it slows down. Why? Because your body gets pretty efficient at it. Okay? It starts to try to minimize the amount of energy expenditure to do the same amount of work. Your aerobic base has gotten better, and your cadence, your running style, all of it will get better to a certain extent. And so the diminishing returns start. After that, you got to do something else. You got to either run faster, run more, things like that, right? So that's why there is that thing about adaptation. But let's talk about a diet or going to the gym for 3 months at a stretch. Hey, I did this last January, I lost 10 kilos, whatever it is. Or I went on this diet and this time around, didn't go too well. It has less to do with physiological adaptations and more to do with us. And that's what I want to explain. So what happens is, we know too much. We know it's going to be hard. We stuck to the rules first time around. Now we know where we can bend the rules a little, where we can break the rules a little, and we try to find those loopholes. Why? Well, come on, 12 weeks of doing such and such a thing. Oh my God, it's going to be hard. I need some chocolate. A little bit of chocolate doesn't hurt because, chocolate is 100 calories. I can calories in, calories out, whatever. You come up with your own logic, and it might be absolutely spot on. It might be right. But you start sneaking things in throughout and thinking you're doing the same thing when you're not. And you also know how hard it is. So you start protecting yourself. You start building in some defense mechanisms around it. So we basically start to change the whole thing and start making it a little easier for ourselves. We start tweaking it and we make our own customization, saying, this, let's take the D9 for example. They said 45 minutes of activity, but I could manage only 20 minutes today. Something is better than nothing, so I'm going to stick to 20, but I did something, so I'm going to mark it as I did activity. No. Stick to the rules. And then things start sneaking in. You get bored. You want something new. What's different this time around? Well, it doesn't have to be different. If it works, it works. Why don't you just do it? And as you start learning more and more and more, other interesting conundrums start. Eat your favorite foods, they say. Well, okay, but eating your favorite foods a little too much is what brought us here. So where's the line in the sand? How much? How often? Do we, don't we? Can get confusing. And if you're an overthinker like me, well, you'll overthink and cripple yourself. The thing is, unfortunately, there's no right or wrong, and it all depends. Okay? So the approach for the second or third time around though, first things first, before we even get into any of this, you need to be clear. Are you all in, or are you going to do it at 80%? And again, there's no right or wrong here. 80% is 80%, a lot easier. 100% is 100%. So if it does say, you know, no sugar and no wheat for 8 weeks, means no sugar and no wheat for 8 weeks. If you want to do the 80%, figure out what that is. It could be nothing on the weekdays, something on the weekends. Doesn't matter. Fix the rule. And last time you probably did it gung-ho, right? Full on. 8 weeks means 8 weeks, no weekends. This time you're tweaking it. So of course you're not going to get the same results, but it might be okay, because this time you might want to continue for the rest of the year. 80% is not that hard. So here's some thoughts about what else you can do. Follow the plan, don't meddle with it. If you're going to meddle with it, make that the plan, assess it, do it for 4 weeks. Did it work? Did it not work? If it did not work, go back to the main plan. You are done with your tweaking. Okay? Try it next time around. Behave like a beginner. For example, if you had to write a detailed food journal and you did it the last time around, but this time you're like, yeah, if I have my own shorthand, or I don't really need it, I eat the same thing every day. No, shut up, do it. Okay? Don't skip steps. Stay patient and start with a clean slate. Like, all of this is different ways of saying the same thing. The one thing you should definitely do though second time around, because second time around should be better than first time around, is build on your lessons from the first time around. Write them down, codify them into this system, and that's it. It will be better than the first time, because you know how to get to the end. You can do this. Most times we make the second time around worse when it need not be the case at all. As long as you bring in the intent, you can do this. Okay? Always remember that.